Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel Anaka Design. I am going to do a bit of a detailed flip through of this book, Paper, the Vintage Retro Collection. 180 pages to create and craft with. Includes stationery, bookmarks, stickers, wrapping paper, gift tags, and more. I'll tell you why this is a bit of a stretch for me. My personal shopper, Carol from Crinkle Path, actually bought this for me or picked it up on my behalf when she was on her way to Canada when she was visiting Sierra, Cooley Craft Corner. So Carol had sort of run this idea of me getting a copy of this book prior to her leaving home, and I expressed some sticker shock. It's $35 US, which makes it about, 180 Canadian. I'm being sarcastic, clearly, but, not 35, clearly. So I hemmed and hawed, and then I don't know, anyway, long story short, I asked her to buy me the book, and she obviously did. So I looked at it obviously when we got together, but it was just a cursory flip through. I've had a chance to look at it since. Now again, this is the vintage retro one, so that's why you see this theme running through it. So each of these pages are double-sided and they're perforated. There must have been a couple of new releases, or maybe new to her releases, at the time that she was telling me about these books. The other one I didn't have any interest in, or certainly not at that price. This is cardstock weight, and these are, well, they could be postcards, or they are postcards. So there are perforations there. So I can see this being, pretty darn useful. You may not be able to see it, but there's a score mark going down the center here and perforations the long way. So these would be, little foldable tags. As much as I hate the current AI generated imagery, I do like those 50s sort of pin-up girls, and that's kind of what this reminds me of. And hopefully it's not AI generated, but an actual real person. Now, the reason the book looks like this is because every so often, this is just tacked down with a bit of sticky tack, there is a little thing like this, which is usable. And this is gift wrap. So this one is obviously cassette tapes. Teal at the back. Oh, are you drooling? Kind of a print, not my favorite print necessarily, but pretty cool nonetheless. And this is a steering wheel, tachometer, and so on, a dashboard from an old vehicle. So I'm not going to take the time to put this back together. Now that looks AI generated to me. So there's some lined paper. This obviously has room to write on. That's fairly plain. There are these envelope templates too, which I guess is pretty cool. Now, of course, until a person cuts it out and sees exactly what is lost in the cutting. But, of course, anything around it is, as we know, we love our scraps. I've got to see that I keep staying in frame. I guess this might be better. Love the mid-century modern furniture. Feathers. Writing space. Love these sorts of prints. Most of you know that by now. Now, this is a sticker page. So those are pretty cute. This is a sticker page. That's kind of an amaryllis. So there are these florals. Now, I don't really understand what this is. Should we just... Oh, these are all pop-outs. So this center thing would be a two-sided thing. Then there'd be a frame. This white strip, which I suppose is waste, and this outside frame. And the same thing here. So I guess what they're saying is create your own wall art. So anyway, that's, I guess, some advice on how to use it. This is another one of those tucked in insert type things. And this, they're calling a list journal. So it's got some pretty cool paper and obviously a prompt. My strategies to cope with stress. Movies that moved me. Valuable lessons that still serve me today. You know, if I had a nickel for every sort of a writing prompt book that I have, I would be loaded. So, for some reason, I love these sort of old diner shots. I remember one year when I was enumerating for the federal census, I was in this little town, one horse town. It's, you know, it doesn't even have village status. And there was, and of course this was long before I was into this whole, you know, junk journal, paper collecting, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, in the store window, I mean, this is honestly, I don't know how the guy would have survived, but in the store window was a vintage chrome dining set. And, you know, with the really, like the 3-inch chrome apron around and burgundy chairs. Well, still my heart. So, of course, I had to buy it. We ended up, that must have been about the time my daughter was leaving home to move to the big city lights, go to university and so on. So bought it for her first apartment. And somewhere along the way, she sold the thing. Obviously, we didn't have room for it or whatever, but so that's the sort of thing I gravitate to and love. And of course, the fact that it was burgundy was just over the top. So this one is called Notes, and again, similar to the last one I showed you. This is cardstock, so these I guess are intended to be cut apart. This is cardstock, really heavy. Not entirely sure what I would do with that, but I think somewhere, because I came across some really great fabric, sort of that drive-in restaurant kind of thing, you know, with the girls, and I don't know if they're on roller skates, but, you know, the little trays that you hung on your window and so on. So this might be the impetus to work on that 50s, 60s thing. These, I guess, just need to be cut out. Likewise with this, likewise with this. So it's sort of almost that Andy Warhol look in a sense, except there are no soup cans here. Now these, I guess, are just bookmarks, or in our case, would be belly bands. Punch out tags. I guess just a cool design. And of course, that was the era of those awesome cars with the big fins, a lot of chrome. And now you'd be hard-pressed to find a piece of chrome on anything you buy for many times the money. It's almost like that's a very faint folding line there and there. So that might be a way to use that page. Again, some of those retro patterns. This is cardstock again. I don't know, to be honest, why anybody needs 3 pages of invitations. However, obviously, it's easy enough to cover up that word if a person didn't want it. Typewriters, those kinds of TVs. When I graduated from high school and, of course, was leaving home to my first basement suite apartment, I got a 12-inch black and white TV. And I think I've told the story before. My landlady was, I guess, a very frugal, shall we say, Greek woman. And she said, well, you're not planning to plug that in, are you? Because I guess my power consumption was covered by my $50 a month rent. Yes, I am as old as a dinosaur. These are stickers. These are stickers. Cool paper, color, that almost like coloring book paper. So, you know, a person, I think, just has to make it a point to, oh, this is more wrapping paper. A person just has to make it a point to actually, you know, detach, and it's good that it's perforated, detach the papers and use them. Look at all these old TVs. And remember when, oh, I thought we were pretty fancy, and, you know, my family of origin, when we were able to have whoopsie, I guess I should remove this, to have a Zenith, a floor model TV, like that was a pretty big thing. And then, of course, you tuned in on Sunday to Ed Sullivan, which reminds me, I think I saw something on Netflix about Ed Sullivan and how kind of forward-thinking he might have been. I haven't watched it, but I did see the preview. This would be fussy cutting stuff, I guess, with the white outline. Some solids. This reminds me of Band-Aids for some reason. That looks AI. That looks authentic. That looks authentic. These are, there's a perforation there for, you know, to string a fiber through. Love this. These, I guess, would be bookmarks. And then you end up with a bit of a typewriter image at the back. Journaling cards, I suppose. See, I end up flipping through the whole thing. Don't we remember those phones? I have a black desk rotary phone. Alphabets and numbers. This, yeah, this would be, I guess, like washi tape in a sense. It's a long, narrow stickers. So, you know, it's a repetition of some of the images we've seen prior, which means that a person can sort of integrate the, these are punch-out tags. You can make your layout more cohesive if you have repeating elements. Punch-out tags. Again, this is all cardstock here, so you probably can hear that as I'm flipping. Love this. More envelopes. Those same TVs. Another dashboard. And here we are at the end. That kind of reminds me of the TV test pattern that used to be on there when, you know, when you stayed up past the point where they were still broadcasting. I think I better take this off too. Anyway, I hope that this has piqued your interest. You know, I guess if I was forced to admit it, I would probably have to say, you know, it's worth it. But again, it's only worth it if I use it. So, you know, maybe put it on your Christmas list if it's a little rich for your taste as well. And please hold me accountable to actually use some of these items. Maybe one of these days I have to pull out my 50s fabric and see what's what. Although I have to tell you, as always, there are a million projects lined up before that as well. Anyway, I thought you would be interested in this, in seeing this book. I've never seen it in a bookstore in Canada, so maybe it's one of those things that's only available, you know, online or whatever. Or if you have a friend visiting you from the States. Anyway, Carol, thanks for picking it up for me. And yeah, I know she has a couple of these, not this particular one, of course, in her own collection. And I don't know, I guess we'll see who starts using theirs first. Consider that the gauntlet dropped. Missy. Okay, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.